Here we go. So I wrote a little bit of software to grab data off of Wikipedia and visualize it. So here's like, what is this? Around 1,000 of my ancestors that I was able to find. And you can make a nice little graph like this. There's a whole bunch of connections and stuff, and most of this is created automatically. So that's really cool. For the starting point, you need to have someone who's a Wikipedia article. I mean, you can enter it manually. So we can do this. We can do this manually here, but we're going to start off with Vladimir the Great, because I know that his ancestry is not too deep on Wikipedia. And there's also some interesting features in there that will help. So to get started, you're going to need to download Python, install Python, and you're going to need to download Ancestor compiler wikipedia.py. There's a link in the description. You can also just go on GitHub and find it. It should be under dudecon/Python, and it's right there. And then if you want to visualize it, you also want Ancestor visualizer.blend. I'll show you how to do that later. So to get started, you want to open that up, open up with an editor. You can just right click on it and say like edit with idle, or edit it however you want. And right up at the very, 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 very top is root name. That's the name that it's going to be using as an origin. So it doesn't search backward through children. All it does is search from children. It doesn't search forward into children from ancestors. It just searches backward from children into parents. So it finds mother and father and then searches for their mother and father on Wikipedia and so forth until it hits a dead end. When it hits a dead end, it prompts you and says, hey, is this a real dead end? Do you know anything about this character? You know, what's the deal? So root name is the one that it starts with. You have to manually change this. There's no way to change it from inside the program. You can change the program to make it that way if you want, but I've never found a real need for it. So Vladimir the Great, change that to whatever it is that you are looking for. So you find the wiki page for your ancestor, you paste it in there, and then you save this, and now you're ready to run it. You can run it from here by pressing F5, but I prefer to run it in the console because it's a bit faster that way. So here we go. All right, so file loaded, 8 entries. So right now I've got 8 entries in the pedigree, and that's because I've already loaded this up. So let's delete the pedigree and hit L for load. Now there's 0 entries. Okay, so now there's 0 entries in the pedigree. We can do data gathering. So if you hit enter, it'll give you the prompts for what these are: find, info, save, load, exit, reprocess. Gather data is the one you want. So you hit G, enter, and it's going to go through Wikipedia, find the wiki page, bring it up, try to get the data out. If it can't get the data out, or it finds a saint or a possible saint, then it will open up the Wikipedia page again. So that's where you have that. So now it's opened it up twice. I just deleted one. And we're going to go over here, and it's asking for, is it a saint? What's the feast day? So Vladimir the Great, he is a saint, as it turns out. Feast day is July 15th. So you can just copy paste that in there, enter. That's going to open it again because that was the saint thing. Now it's the data thing. So it's got father, mother, born, died are the things you can enter. You can also enter year born and year died, but it should do that automatically. So you shouldn't have to do that. It's already got born and died. It's imported that. So the script goes through and looks at the info box. And if it can find born and died date, it just copies that directly out. Otherwise, and mother and father. I don't know why it can't find Vladimir's mother and father, but it's nice as an example. So you just copy this here, right click, copy link, and that's for mother. So we hit M, enter, Control V to paste, enter. Simple as that. So now if we hit enter again, yeah, Vladimir the Great. So now it says M is Malusha. Malusha, yeah. 30th great grandma Malusha. And so now the mother is Malusha, and now we're going to enter the father. Same thing, right click, copy link, father is, and control paste. Sviatoslav the first. So now it says name is Malik of Liubek. I don't know who that is. Wikipedia doesn't know either, apparently, because it didn't open up a wiki page. So we're just going to hit N for unknown. And that's these commands right up here. N for unknown, or U for unknown. O for obscure. So if it's a name like Ellis or something, it's like, well, there's got to be like a million Ellises. So you do Ellis and then obscure. So you just hit O and enter, and that'll change the name to obscure, and that'll tell the program anything that has like parentheses, obscure, close parentheses, it ignores, because like, okay, well, this is just a person who shares a name with a lot of other people. They don't have like Ellis of Patagonia or whatever. So I'm just going to ignore that. And then multiple people can point to an obscure figure, but it won't ever show up in any of the trees, I think. Because if there's no info about them, they don't have a date born or died or whatever. If they do have a date born or died or things like that, then you can enter their name and like change their name so that they have a unique name. So like Ellis of Patagonia, mother of Dave or something, right? That'll just so that it's unique, because you need a unique name so that it doesn't get confused about whose parents are whose. So anyway, so Malik of Liubek, N for unknown or none. We don't know who this guy is. He doesn't have any parents that we have record of. So enter. There we go. Unknown parentage. And now Olga of Kiev. So same deal. It's going to ask us for the feast day. Let's see. Where's her feast day? Is it up here? Here it is. Feast day. 11th of July. And what's their feast day? It's the 11th of July. It's going to open it again. It's going to say, hey, do you know anything about this person? Who are her parents? And it turns out little is known about her life. We don't know who her parents were. So again, U or N for unknown. Then Rurik, also unknown. We don't know who his parents are. So I'm just going to go through it real quick. You see how this works. And now we've got a prompt with no info. That means we're back at the start, which means we can save. And now we have a pedigree. So let's take a look at that. Let's close these down. There we go. So a pedigree of Vladimir the Great.txt, and here we go. So this is just a dictionary with keys of the name according to the Wikipedia, or if it doesn't have a Wikipedia page, just the name with spaces in it. And if it has spaces in it, then it knows it's not a wiki page, because wiki pages never have spaces. They always have underscores. And then all this info. So you can edit this manually if you want. I'm just going to, as an example, change Rurik from unknown. Just going to delete the father there. And if there are no father and mother data, so Control S to save. I'm going to go back to our thing here, L to load it. So right now, actually, let's do info for info here. So 7 entries in the pedigree. Davis is Rurik, all that stuff. So now if we load it, it's going to be the same number of entries, but Rurik will no longer have a father recorded. So if we do gather data again, it's going to ask about Rurik. It's going to say, hey, who's Rurik? And we can tell it, oh yeah, his father is Cladwald the Bold, and his mother was Delis. I don't know. And so now it just checked to see if Cladwell the Bold has a wiki page. And it's like, no, he doesn't. So his name is Cladwell the Bold. What do you know about him? And so we can just keep doing this. So if you have your own ancestry records that you keep, you can manually enter your ancestry records like this. Just type in the data, name Cladwell the Bold. He was born in 490, and we don't know who his parents are. None. Delis. We don't know anything about her. Unknown parentage. Okay, now we're back to the start. And if we save this and hit info, right, now we have 9 entries in the pedigree. And if we go over here, we've got multiple copies open here. Let's just close those down. If we open this up, now we've got Delis and Cladwell the Bold. And Cladwell the Bold has born and year born, and his father's unknown. We've got gender. It automatically figures that out because it knows that they were a father or a mother, and all that good stuff. So what can we do with this? Well, we can take this pedigree and import it into Blender and visualize it. So before we do that, though, let's just take a look at some of these other things. So save and load are the obvious ones. I put those in there so that in case you make an error or something, you don't have to save it. You can just, close the program or whatever. And then load is nice. It's obviously. Reprocess has some features in there that you shouldn't ever have to use, but you can go into the code and look at what that does. Gather data is really handy. That's where you put all the data in. A for a random page, and then W to toggle wiki. So if you hit W, now open wiki page is set to false. And so now when we do A for random, Igor of Kiev, Vladimir's great grandfather, but it doesn't open the wiki page, and toggle it back, random. Now it brings up random wiki page. So that's kind of handy if you got like a whole bunch of ancestors and you want to look through them all and see who's who and all that. It's a good time. Let's see what else. We have page. That's basically it. Oh, find. F for find. So hit F, search for anyone whose name has a capital A in it. 0 records. Okay, well, it's pretty small. Now let's toggle wiki page. So one hidden feature is if you find and don't enter anything, finds all the saints. So here we've got Olga of Kiev and Vladimir himself, but it doesn't show us Vladimir because he is the root character, the root guy. And if we turn the wiki pages back on, of course, it'll open up St. Olga's wiki page. So that's the program. And then we can go over to Blender. So again, Ancestor visualizer.blend, open that up. You'll have to install Blender first, of course, and Ancestor visualizer.blend is also on the GitHub. So here we are. We've got a blank data. Can you see that? Let's make sure that everything is visible here. Yeah, you can see that. That's fine. You can't see the console, but that's all right. You won't need to see anything in there. So there's nothing in the page here, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff. The thing you need to do is in pedigree import, you need to change root name to the same as the thing that you imported. So in this case, Vladimir the Great. Depth, I usually leave this at 2 just because otherwise it gets a little bit unwieldy. It won't matter too much in this case, but nothing else should have to change. You can hit the run key or hit Alt P and boom, it imports it. So this has to be in the same folder. Ancestor Visualizer and the pedigree have to be in the same folder. Otherwise, it looks up the name of the file as long as you don't change the name of the file. And boom, you've got some stuff. So what it does is it selects everything that is a dead end so that you can hide it. So this is just when you have a huge number of imports, like I showed earlier, like thousands of characters. You don't want to have to be selecting all the dead ends, and you also don't want to import them all at once because it takes a really long time and it can get super messy. So just hide these and then select, you can hit A to select all and run this again and just keep doing that until, hey, look at this. We've got Delis. Delis is in here because we gave him a birthday, and so he's in the visualizer. So now we've got all our guys. Alt H to unhide everyone. That's kind of odd that Rurik is so far before Igor, but whatever. Let's just like move him a little bit over this way, and then maybe move him a little over this way. Whoop. Scale X. All right, cool. Now we've got our pedigree imported. Once you do that, if you've got a lot of them, it might take a little longer, go through all those and move them around so they're not all overlapping and stuff, but it works pretty well. Then you go over to the connection maker. And the connection maker, you select all again, Alt P to run, and it creates these little connection lines. So you can see who is related to who. In this case, it's pretty obvious because they're all organized by the import script, but if there was a huge number of them, it could be really hard to keep track of. These are not parented or anything, so if you move this around, this is not gonna remain connected, and that's fine because you can just delete all these. Select one of them, Shift L, select linked object data. Oops. There we go. X for delete, and then select all and regenerate them. And there we go. Although, that one was already there, maybe? It's a little weird. Alt P. There we go. Yeah, I guess it was hidden or something. So anyway, so that is the importer. And then you can also search for things in this mode. So say I wanted to find it's obvious with a tree this small, but for purposes of demonstration, how is Igor of Kiev related to Vladimir the Great? So we go here, F2, copy Igor of Kiev. And then over here, we can find the search connection. And here's the root name, and here's the name that we're looking for, Igor of Kiev. And if we run this, I think we have to select all again. Yeah, and then it deselects everything that's not related. So here you can see it's just selected Vladimir the Great, Styavoslav, and Igor of Kiev. So now they're all connected. You can see how they're connected. And yeah. And then you can do fun stuff with that, or if you want to just find one branch of your family tree or something, you can select that and then, Shift H to unhide or to hide everything else, and then just regenerate the connections that are related. So, object data, delete all those, and select all, connection maker, boom. So now you have like this truncated family tree where it's just the ones you care about instead of all 1,000 ancestors or whatever. And that's basically it. There's a searcher which just searches for, I don't even know, selected objects. Object less search string. Oh, this just finds a character. So instead of finding the whole ancestry, it just finds the character, the person. And character counter just counts how many characters are in the names of all these guys, in case you care about that. So yeah. So that is the visualizer and the finder, the importer. And let's see, is there anything else I should go over? Let me pop in and check the chat, see if anybody's watching even. Nope, nobody's watching. All right, well, that's fine. We are done then, I guess. I will put a link to this video in both the script and the Blender file, I think, just so we can close the loop. And we should be good to go. So anyway, I hope that is helpful to you guys and somebody finds a use for it. And yeah, enjoy looking up your ancestors.